Oh, we made it.
We're on time. That's cool.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah, 7 o'clock, our time.
yeah.
So, 9 o'clock.
Arizona, mountain, right now.
Mountain-ish, yeah. So, yeah, welcome to our other live video. We absolutely love doing these. We're not uncomfortable in any sort of way. And what's really cool is we push this off and we plan nothing. Really. And it's just, so we thought we'd talk about coming up with ideas. So it's something that gets asked a lot, and it's something that I wonder too when I speak to professionals.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that? So
Well,
I'm going to pose the question to.
Let's quickly do something we didn't do last time.
What didn't we? Oh, we didn't introduce ourselves.
Kevin Moyers.
And I'm Dalyn Beaker. Yeah. So in case you don't know, we're Bunny17media.com.
Gotta. This time it's my kid in the background playing video games on her computer. And she refuses to participate.
That's okay.
Even though she has her own show, The Death of Normal, that you can watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
That's a fun show. So,
I'm in that
out.
too sometimes.
Yeah.
But you were saying the idea thing.
Yeah, so I mean, we get asked that a lot, and I ask it a lot, and I'm probably going to ask Kevin right now, because one of our best sellers is the Casey and Jack series, and I kind of know the answer, but I know it's a really good one, so I'm going to let Kevin give the answer as to how did you come up with the what's the first book, the Search
for the Book of the Guardians. It sets it off. So
yeah.
I have them here conveniently. Look at that.
Conveniently.
You don't want the ring light in there like last time.
Yeah.
Well, originally I had this idea for a jackalope character. He was supposed to be, his name was Jack Lopez, because jackalope, it's easy for kids, and he was an Indiana Jones type. And that's all I had for, 2 years. I think I wrote maybe 2 paragraphs of it. And I was stuck. I had nothing. Casey one day, and she was, how old were you? Like 7 or 8, maybe? 8. She was 8, and she asked me to make up a bedtime story. And I had just been looking at those 2 paragraphs to see what it was that I was going to do with it, because I still had nothing. So it was like a 19-year-old boy and this jackalope. So I changed the story to a girl named Casey, since it's her bedtime story, and the jackalope, and kind of did the first 2 paragraphs, and then she was like, oh, what if this happened? What if this happened? And then I'd bounce something off of that. And we kept going and going, and this lasted several nights. I mean, probably a couple of weeks. And I said, we have to write this down. And we started writing it. I told her I wanted to do the book. And, it just got to, like, okay, we need some illustrations. She's like, I'll do it. Okay, well, I'll find somebody to do the book cover. I got it. I'm like, okay. So she did everything. And, let's see if I can pull up, like, 8-year-old Casey drawing Jack. You can see that. All the drawings are pencil in there, so it looks like a fresh drawing. So it's pretty cool. But that started the whole story. That's where the idea for that came from. And then, we added the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoots and all these things, and the Jersey Devil is the villain in it. And they just protect the world's magic from him. And, we get more and more characters as we go. In the 4th book, which we're just finishing up, honestly, God, that was like pulling teeth to get that story out. And then yesterday it was that I wrote like 9 pages of this, and like the biggest chapter, I tend to go beginning and end, and then I start filling in the middle. That's how I always write, which is ridiculous. But it worked out that way. I got this huge chunk that was done, and we're getting done with the 4th book, which will wrap up the series. So,
and Jersey Jen, how dare you use the Jersey Devil? It's a personal attack. Well, there was no. It was that or some Beatles. So I don't know. I think the Jersey Devil was a good call. So like when you guys did this, something else that I found really cool was locations.
Yeah.
All the places that they go, and I think you should tell more about those locations that Casey and Jack end up going to. And
well, we started it here in Phoenix, because that's where we live. And, I wasn't thinking about that in a bedtime story. But we started going to different places. And I like when stories get the details right. Like simple things. Dumb, insignificant seeming things. I see a lot of movies take place in Chicago, where I grew up, and now you always see the L, you always see the Bean now, which doesn't even belong in Chicago. Don't get me started on that, but Boston maybe? I don't know.
Sure.
But, it's funny I see things here now, like, good example is Better Call Saul. They have this whole discussion about why it's called MVD here, because they're building a bank building or something in Scottsdale. And they discuss why it's MVD instead of DMV like most places. And I thought that was interesting. And then later in The Good Place, Kristen Bell's character is from Phoenix, but calls it the DMV. And I was like, that's a little detail that I notice,
And she would know it too, because she worked there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's a discussion they have there. Like, why don't you call it the DMV?
Yeah. So, you notice those things when you're from those places. So when it came to that, I wanted to be as detailed as possible. So the first place we go is in Carolina and Puerto Rico, because there's a Roberto Clemente baseball card that is found, and it leads to, that's a clue to where something is hidden in a statue. And it's just like all this detail. And I found a statue in this specific spot, and I had to get the details of it right and everything. And then we go into Russia, and there's this big iceberg that's been there forever, and I'm getting the details of this dumb iceberg, but it's so important to me to be accurate with that stuff, because somebody's going to know it. Mm-hmm. And somebody's going to go, that's wrong. There's always somebody. So there was a lot of research in a lot of this stuff. So that's just my being nuts about it.
Really. No, and I think it's great. And then what age would you say that this book is for?
I'd go in the 5 to 10 range.
What about for... so would a 5-year-old be able to read it and truly understand it, or is there some more difficult words that they might not know?
Where are you going with this? Well,
hurry, I'm running out of softballs here.
And another idea that just came out of just by accident, really, was Casey and I build the skeleton of the story, more or less, and then I kind of fill in the guts. And then we go back and forth on changing things or modifying. And then she does all the artwork. So when I was doing everything for the first book, getting it all together, I was reading it to her, and there was a word, she's like, wait, what's that mean? And I explained it, and I thought, there's something. Instead of taking it out, why don't we underline it, put a little glossary in the back? Then we're not speaking down to kids, really. We're teaching them. So we've done that in all 4 books, and we've got teachers that come to Comic-Cons at our table and like it. We've had some bought for schools, which is great. And so it worked out. So there's geography, there's vocabulary, and a lot of other stuff. So.
And a bunch of cryptozoological. I didn't say that correctly, but sorry, Ken. But a lot of cool characters.
Yeah.
So
and even that I went into the details. So
Jen remembers that as a kid too, because that was something I remember when you said it. I'm like, oh man, why don't more? I don't recall seeing that in a lot of my daughters or in my kids' book, where when we look through it, we just read them, but I don't remember a lot of glossaries.
Well, see, even like the cryptozoological creatures, I went into crazy detail with those.
Yeah.
I could tell you what kind of Bigfoots the 2 Bigfoot brothers are.
Right.
Midnight Whistlers.
There's a lot of different. As I found out from my brother-in-law Ken, there are a lot of different.
Yes, and I didn't know until I looked.
Yeah.
But even the Jersey Devil, his name is Titan. The reason his name is Titan is because I looked in the history of it. Then there was the Leeds family in New Jersey, and there was some legend that happened about them that they had a 13th child. They had a 13th child that died right after childbirth. I believe it was 13. But somebody said it was like a demon or something and created this whole legend that became the Jersey Devil. Titan Leeds was a newspaper man, and his biggest rival was Benjamin Franklin, who apparently was just a jerk and used to taunt Leeds all the time, drove him crazy. And I mean, Franklin always got the upper hand in that. He was the bully for sure. And he started saying, oh, he's the Jersey Devil and stuff like that. You know, just fueling this dumb old legend. And back then, I mean, newspapers, by the time Titan would find this out, it was everywhere. And it drove him nuts. It really did. And so that's why, just taking that bit of history, his name is Titan. And it's a cool name for a villain.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool.
So,
that was a story I wasn't familiar with, so that's pretty cool.
But it's all kinds of stuff like that in there. And then we have, right behind us, The Astounding Astrofly.
Yeah.
Which is the kids' book that you did.
Yeah.
The series, I should say.
Yeah, that was so Astrofly was something over 20 years ago, I started drawing Astrofly.
Yeah.
Just kind of a warm-up type thing, or just felt like drawing. I always wanted a cool-looking character, like I always thought the Ninja Turtles looked cool as heck, you know. I mean, awesome-looking characters. I'm like, so like we can make one like a fly and go around solving crimes and stuff like that. But I never really put much into it. Just drew it. Yeah. I put him in a sketchbook that we did, that unmasked sketchbook, and it's just a bunch of my drawings. And you were like, you need to do something with that character, whatever that is. Do something with it. And I wanted to do something. I just wasn't sure. One thing that I noticed at every single Comic-Con we do, without fail, there is a kid that comes up between 5 and 10 years old and says, "Do you guys have comic books?"
Yeah.
And I know he probably asks that at every single booth, even if they do have comic books. Like, we have comic books, but they were mostly for grown-ups.
Yeah.
As far as our comic book section went, we had the search for the Guardians and everything, but
Blast of the Clown was not
Blast of the Clown was not for kids. It's really not even for grown-ups.
No.
But I thought, man, they really do. And I look at, and this isn't a knock on these bigger companies like Marvel and DC, but they really don't have comics that are really geared for kids. I noticed it even when I was a kid. I would go out and get my family drove down here from Minnesota, and I got some comic books to read on the way down, and I'm like, it wasn't very kid friendly.
Yeah.
So let's do one, and made Astrofly, and I'm like, and I'm drawing it, and it's fun to draw because they're just crazy bug characters.
Yeah. And
when I'm coloring it, I was like, well, I'm going to add some shading. Like, no. We got to keep this thing bright and vibrant.
Yeah.
So it is a bright, vibrant book. It reads pretty quickly. It's made for 5 to 10-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And we also made it a little bit bigger. So it's like 8.5 by 11. Like, we want you to sit with your kids and read it with them. And the feedback we got on it has been great.
Yeah.
In fact, Happy Accident, one of the back pages of the first Astrofly book, just isn't it like a Follow Bunny 17 Media or something to that effect, but it's just Astrofly black and white.
It's the one from your sketchbook.
Yeah, one from the sketchbook. And one of our friends, they were like, oh yeah, he loves Astrofly, and he's said he wants to color just like you. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they showed me, and we got pictures of him coloring in that thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't we think of that? So Astrofly 2 has some activity pages, and Astrofly 3, we're probably going to really bulk that up and really make some fun pages to color and all that stuff. So
yeah, there's even a word search in the second
one. Word search.
I told you to give me some words, I think, and then I built the word search out of it. I just did that, and then if you're doing
really
it, you find Dalyn's name in there as well.
Yeah, you're really good. You'll find it. It's not no points if you don't. No points against you.
I just did that as my own thing. My initials are in there too.
That's awesome. Yeah,
because it just worked out that way. I'm like, cool, I'll leave it.
Yeah. So it's they've been really fun to work on, and it's really fun for when we get to see a kid walk away with one of our books and say, this one's mine. It's meant for me. Yeah, and they're not flimsy either. I mean, it's the same kind of like normal cardstock book, paperback book cover too. So it's kids aren't going to destroy it. Yeah. That's a nice thing. Yeah. So. to go with that, my nephew came down here from Montana and had his daughter, two, very young, and so I'm like, I'm throwing in those Astrofly books for her, and you know, she's reading through it because it's bright, it's fun to look at, and it finally dawned on my nephew, like, oh, Dalyn, is that your book? You do that? And they're like, whoa, look at that. And my brother, he gets a hold of it. He's like, oh, this is like a professional. I'm like, yeah, because I'm not a professional artist. And Lindsay, who's been helping us out with this, I'm like, Dad, they are professionals. It's okay. So he's like, oh, I stick my foot in my mouth on that one, didn't I? But yeah, it was pretty fun.
I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3. My mom was like, I didn't know you wanted to write. I'm like, I've been doing it for 15 years, you know, at that point.
Yeah.
But all right.
All right. Sure. Yeah, but it is nice to see, like, there it is. Yeah. You can hold it and you can check it out and
for sure
enjoy it.
One character I'm kind of curious about the name was there's Astrofly, there's Magfly, Chief Proton. They all have names except one, which is Agent 501. He's the rookie partner of Astrofly.
Yeah, it's funny.
So why did he get a number?
It's funny. Well, I remember old Levi commercials. Yeah, the 501 jeans. They're the button fly, and there is a line in there where
that's right,
where Astrofly definitely tells them, "Hey, button at 501."
Yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
So there is that. So when you do your characters, what is you mentioned music on the last video, but when you do your characters, like, because there's something that I learned way too late when it came to writing. Like, every character should have a voice.
Yeah.
And there should be a very distinct difference in how these characters sound, even though you aren't reading them. Do you have, like, certain voices that you are picking out for them, or is it just kind of in your head that this is the way they sound?
I tend to cast the movie in my head.
Okay.
So, you know, if it's like human characters, I'll, you know, put whoever into it, into each one. Like Casey and Jack, I don't know why it popped into my head, but the voice I get for Jack is, oh my god, my brain is blinking on his name right now. But he's Cisco on The Flash.
Oh yeah,
that's the voice I get for him.
Yeah,
and that makes sense to me.
It does. Yeah, you know.
And then Jersey Devil, I think about. I often get Mark Maron's voice in my head for him because
of voicemails.
There are comedic angles for that. No. But there's a comedic angle to him. He's almost a Skeletor type.
Okay.
You know, where he's scary, but still sometimes, you know, can be silly.
Kind of goofy, yeah.
Yeah. So I get that voice sort of.
We're both huge fans of Skeletor, by the way.
He's a New Jersey guy.
Yeah.
And other characters, you know, I'll get different people, but I'll have the whole thing cast in my head, basically, and then I can hear them if I need to. And with dialogue, a lot of times I'll just say it out loud to make sure it doesn't sound weird or just unnatural.
Yeah, so. I feel like I have to do that sometimes. Like, does this even make sense what I'm saying? I mean, I recognize it's a children's book, or even the new books now. Like, does this sound right? But
you'll say something out loud, and like nobody says that.
Right.
Nobody speaks in that manner.
Nobody says that.
Yeah. So. Not everybody sounds Old English, even though they're from another planet somehow.
Right.
Just because it's sci-fi. Everybody's British in sci-fi.
They are in every kind of old-timey movie, too. They're like old Italy, and they have a British accent. Like, what is happening here?
Well, like Thor. You have an Australian doing a British accent.
You're right.
And shouldn't that be Nordic?
Yeah, should be saying, like, oofda and things like that.
He should sound like the Swedish Chef.
Yeah, the Swedish Chef. Or he should have got some voice lessons from the folks from Fargo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Loki.
Oh yeah, Loki. He knows I love snakes. Could have been a very different movie.
Yeah, could be.
So,
Yeah, Rocket's a funny looking fella.
right.
Yeah, kids hopefully don't know that.
Right. No. Yeah, don't. Just in a general way.
Yeah, but just thought we'd answer that question. It's a common one, just like the one last week. How do you get started? These are the things we hear all the time. So
Hi, Danny.
yeah. So I don't know if you guys have any questions you want to pop out real quick. Got some good comments from Jen, and Danny says hi, so that's good.
Yeah.
But that's generally our explanation of where things come from, and it's different from everybody or for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I'll get scenes from songs in my head, or people I know I'll take traits from. I mean, some of that is in, say, Casey and Jack. The Vigilantics is full of that. I could probably write an entire book just on where I got everything from every character.
Yeah.
know? So,
yeah. Kind of it's almost like your Herman's head for those three people that get that reference.
that's
other
what
one,
I always
other
say.
than the two. Yeah.
Yeah. All those characters could be me. You get, 5 superheroes that could all be me, but they're different segments of my personality.
Yeah.
And that's, giving them their own voice that way too.
Mm-hmm.
But I can still speak it more or less. So
yeah, they're all very different, but
yeah,
kind of come from the same place.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you're on Facebook watching it or Instagram, then follow us. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. I'll pop some little bubbles and things up here for YouTube because you can do that. It's fun. And then watch all the other stuff we have on YouTube. The link to everything is in the bio on our page. So that gives you a link tree and you can find everything there. So do that. Follow us everywhere, and we'll see you next time.